How's everyone doing? Great, thank you for coming. How many of you came from the operations manager or future of the monitoring session? Well, most people, okay. See, I'm struggling to see if I need to go through the intro again, but I guess there's still quite a bit of folks, about 1/4 of you that haven't got the intro yet, so I'll quickly walk through that. Now, by the way, if you're wondering where you can sign up for Operational Insights, this is the URL that you go to get it, okay? Right now, we're in a preview period, so it's free to try it out until the set of time that or the milestone that I'll be highlighting to you in the slide later on, okay? But you should just sign up right now, and I promise you, we'll take care of you. You'll be just fine. Okay, so let's give you a quick overview of what Operational Insight is all about. Actually, before that, I need to introduce myself. My name is Joseph Chan, and I'm the lead program manager for the Microsoft Azure Operational Insights product team. And I'm a monitoring guy, so my background is actually in SCOM. So every time when I introduce myself, I want to say System Center. I'm still part of the System Center team. I'm very much a System Center guy. And it's just that the product, when it runs in the cloud, it's called Azure nowadays. So, our team is a System Center team. And so to give you a background story of how we started Operational Insights, we have to start with the on-premise product, which is Operations Manager. So we've been talking with a lot of you for many years about the pains and challenges that you have in using Operations Manager over the years. And two of the problems that stood out very clearly to us is one, reporting and the concept of data warehousing, managing that, and two, performing real-time troubleshooting. Okay, so let me go into the first problem first. If you're using Operations Manager today, you know that we have a number of database components that powers our product. There's the operational database, and there's the operational data warehouse. Okay, so the data warehouse is where we archive the operational data for long-term reporting purposes. But for a lot of large enterprises, a few years back, we're starting to see that they're having a lot of challenges managing the indexes, the grooming policy, maintaining query performance on those data warehouses over time. And even if you get that all nailed down, trying to build queries and report on top of that is still hard. So everything around that is just hard, okay? So a number of years back, that was for the largest enterprise that we've seen. And as we progress over the years, especially in the last couple of years, with the proliferation of software component virtualizing every stack in your data center, the amount of machine data and operational data that is generated has just increased multiple folds. So now this big data problem, is really hitting everyone. And so that's why we felt like we need to build a tool where we're going to take the pain away from managing this big data and make it really simple and intuitive for you to use so that you can extract the value out of the data rather than trying to wrestle with the infrastructure itself. And so you can use it really as a tool, which is what it meant to be, to explore the data. And the second problem, which is real-time troubleshooting, it's another pain point that you illustrate to us. Now, SCOM is really, really good at dealing with known problems. We have a lot of management packs with built-in monitors that detect specific threshold level, looking for specific event sequences and so forth. And when those conditions are met, we would trigger an alert, change state, and give you knowledge or surface the experience through like the Health Explorer, which explains what is happening to you in your environment. That is, if we know what the problem is ahead of time. When you hit an unknown problem that we have not seen before, then you have the challenge of troubleshooting, looking through the operational data to see what is going on. okay, then again, you're going back to that data exploration problem that I was talking about earlier. So the same set of challenges there, right? And on top of that, trying to craft your custom rule and monitors on SCOM, a lot of you have expressed that as being a challenge to you as well. So especially over line of business application, custom application that is distributed across the network. So we see a common thread between these two big set of problems, all being solved through big data analytics. But big data analytics is not easy to use. That's why we felt like we need to build this SaaS tool which will manage the big data infrastructure aspect on your behalf and give you a simple, intuitive experience so that you can use the system to actually solve problem. And that's what Operational Insights is meant to solve. So our primary data source is machine data. Okay, machine data are basically any data that is generated by your systems automatically as it runs in real time, right? Such as events, performance counters. One type of machine data is IIS logs. And if you think about these stuff, their format, the data volume and velocity, all that varies, depends on the data type that is associated with. So for example, IIS log and security logs, these are high volume, high velocity type of data. With regular event logs, they come at a slower pace, but at the same time, they also come in much larger variety. Every single app has different formats, have different fields in there, right? Performance counter and syslog, again, bring in a lot more dynamics and dimension to the data type. Trying to deal with all that in traditional relational database is very, very difficult. That's why Operational Insights mainly relied on search interfaces to allow you to explore this data, which is perfect for the type of unstructured or semi-structured data type that we're dealing with, which is inherent in the machine data type that you're working against. On top of that, we're very mindful of the fact that first and foremost, we are working for enterprise IT. Okay? You guys are our primary audience. I know the title says Azure, and Azure today, to a lot of people, means is cloud services for developers. I'm here to tell you that Azure is also for IT pros, right? And we have the services to back that up. Operational Insights as a service for enterprise IT and for IT pros. Azure Backup, Azure Site Recovery. All these tools are things that we're standing up as a company to show our commitment to IT pros through Azure for you to manage your on-premise assets as well as your assets in the cloud. It doesn't matter where it is. So we can work with servers that are running on-premise, and we work really, really well with System Center Operations Manager. To onboard that is really simple, and I'll walk you through that later on in my demo. But we're also introducing a new way to connect to Operational Insights, which is through a simple agent download that you can install into your Windows server. So even without System Center Operations Manager, you can onboard VMs or different systems directly to Operational Insights immediately. And over the next couple of weeks, we'll be rolling out our integration with Azure as well. And from there, you can natively select any resources that you have created inside Azure. So things like storage account, cloud services, VMs, you can simply select those resources to be managed by Operational Insights, and we'll bring that in, all integrated into one big data store through a single user interface so that you get a 360 view, a unified view of your data and your operational environment, all in Operational Insights. So we're bringing all that into Operational Insights, and oh man, this remote control is crazy. Got to stand within this proximity right here in order for it to work. So the way we're going to be delivering this experience to you is through a real-time search experience. You'll be seeing a lot of that in the demo, so I'm not going to talk more on that. But one thing I want to point out is the entire experience is modeled after kind of like a shopping experience in a lot of e-commerce portal, and a combination of PowerShell command line experience. So things are just incredibly intuitive for you to use. And on top of that, we're going to be delivering a lot of ready-made intelligence for you. We have about 6 intelligence packs right now, and we have a lot more in the pipeline. I'm going to be talking about the velocity in which we delivered value to you later on in the session. And you'll see how fast we're going to be giving you value once you sign up. And I think you'll really like the speed in which we will give you those values. It's kind of like watching a TV show, right? Where you're just hoping that the next episode will come like sooner. And it's kind of like that. And it just comes really fast to you from our service. And our service is incredibly scalable. I would say that is one of the most elastic and scalable log analytics platform in the world today. You give us the log, any logs, any amount of machines, we'll take care of it. We'll take the data, we'll make sure that we'll service that data back to you through a query language that's simple to use in speed that you'll be satisfied with. Incredibly responsive experiences. And you'll see how that works later. And so some of the ready-made intelligence I was talking about earlier includes capacity, helping you assess system updates, change tracking. Security is going to be a big pillar that we're going to be handling going forward. Some of the stuff that I'm showing you is just a sneak peek, is not yet available. But for those of you in the room, I'm going to give you my business card later on. If you're interested in signing up for a private preview for that, just because you're a TechEd Europe attendees, I'll let you guys in to try that out, okay? All right, so let's take a look at the demo and see how we can use operational insights to solve problem end-to-end in a real example. All right. Okay. So I'm just going to take another minute just to walk through the basics of our product to some of the folks in the room who are hearing this for the first time. So this is Operational Insights. And what you're seeing on the screen here is our overview page. The different tiles that is showing on the screen right now, those are the ready-made intelligence. So you can see I was talking about earlier capacity planning, malware assessment, security, intelligence, system updates. All of those are listed front and center on your overview page, right? This is our commitment to enterprise IT and for IT pros. We're not making this look like a programming interface that is super difficult to use, right? We understand you guys as an audience, and we've operated in this space for a long time, and through our experience, we hope that you see our commitment to you, even though this is service to you as an Azure service. Now, at the heart of our product is our log management capability. So if you look at our log management tile right here, I have about 16.5 million records in this account right now. So there's a lot of data in here. If I go into the log management view right now, you can see that I've been configured to collect data from a lot of different logs, and I've enabled IIS log collection in this environment as well. To indicate what you want to collect is real simple. If you want to collect IIS logs, simply check this checkbox right here. And for any event logs that you want to collect, simply type the name of the log. So let's say I want to collect some DSC log, right? You simply type the name in here, and we'll identify the right logs for you. Select that, add it. Oh, it's already added? Oh, yeah, look, it's already added. And simply check the different event level type of data that you want to collect. Hit save, and you're good to go. So it's that simple. Now, I know it looks like we only collect events and IIS logs today. We're going to be adding a lot more data types and data sources going forward. Now, because, again, you're a TechEd attendee, I'll let you in on a little secret. Basically, we can work with any operational manager data that you collect today on premise using your SCOM environment. Okay, so as long as you know the right action that we use to connect to the cloud, you can basically hook that up yourself to collect any data through Ops Manager today to send to Ops Insights. Okay, and we have a blog post on our SCOM engineering blogs that you can check out on how you can actually configure that. You need to have some experience on MP authoring today to get that working. But for those of you who are a little bit more patient, just wait. We'll be offering simple, intuitive experience for you to collect different log data as we go forward. Now let's look at the search experience real quick. So this is our search page. As you can see right here, we have a lot of different what we call safe searches that is made available for you to try out. So these are the searches that is used to actually construct the intelligence pack that we delivered out of the box. And so if you want to search the data associated with those intelligence pack, you can come here and select the different search query right here, and you're good to go. But whenever you're in doubt and you just want to use search and see all the data that you want, simply type in the wildcard character, hit search, and we'll bring you back all the data that you have in your environment. So right now I'm looking at the last 7 days of data that I have in my environment. And I have about 4.3 million records in the last 7 days. And we brought that back pretty quick. And to be honest, usually this takes just 3 to 4 seconds. I believe it's really the Wi-Fi component that is slowing things down right now. So that, those are all actually network latency, unfortunately. I think I'm using a demo Wi-Fi already, but just in case, try to minimize the amount of activities that you do using the Wi-Fi in the room so that you don't compete with me. So our demo can go a little bit faster. I remember Steve Jobs saying this in one of his demo, and he ordered everyone to shut down their laptop. But I'm not Steve Jobs, so I don't have that power to make you do so. I'm just begging you to do it. Okay, now to interact with this experience is real easy. Everything that you see in here are fully interactive. So one thing that I want to call to your attention to is the set of filters that you see on the left-hand side, right? These filters are basically breakdowns of the different fields that is in your big data store right now. And so in this particular filter called types, we see that there's about 14 different data types that we're collecting into this environment right now. Everything from events to security events to IIS logs. And if you want to select a particular data type, simply select the particular data that you want, and we'll automatically update the query for you. And you can see that in the click of a button, I'm now drilling down into specifically just Windows events. So that brings me down to 2.7 million events. You can add more filters from here. So for example, one of the things I want to look for is event log. Well, let's leave it at event. So that I can select event log and event level name. And these are additional filters that I can interact with. So for example, I can see that among the Windows event log that I'm collecting right now, I'm collecting some WinRM events, group policy events, key management events, ops manager events, and so forth. And let's say if you're interested in just group policy events, again, you can just interact with that. And we'll update the query for you. And say if you're only interested in error, again, you can just select that. And you can see how fast we bring down the result set from 4.7 million down to 33 results really quickly. You can further slice and dice this data by putting it into an aggregation command. So I'm using a measure command right here. For those of you who are familiar with PowerShell, you probably know the measure command. And I'm going to call the count function to count by computer. And very quickly, I can see the breakdown of error coming from 3 servers in my environment related to group policy events. So you can see that this is really simple to interact with. If I like this view, I can click Save. Click the Save button right here. Give it a name. Group policy events, error events by computer. Save it under my category. And you can easily recall the queries that you have saved before, and simply by clicking on it, you can then basically bring back the search result that you were looking for before. So in this case, I'm looking for all group policy events by computer. I click on that, and that gives me all 19 servers in my environment that are generating group policy events and so forth. So it's really handy. We also give you a history of the previous searches that you have performed before. And this is real handy, especially when you are troubleshooting some issue, right? So let's say you're looking for one particular aspect of the problem, and you're going down this path, and let's say you hit a dead end and you want to go back to a previous search result, which has a broader set of data. You can look at the history and go back to that broader set of data and then start over again. Okay, so this is how you use history. And actually, this is one of the feedback that you gave us, and we implemented it about 2 months after we went public at TechEd North America. Now, another use for safe searches is to use it to visualize the result in a dashboard. So we just shipped the My Dashboard feature about 3 weeks ago. 3 or 2 weeks ago. And in this My Dashboard view, you can go in there, click Customize, and you can drag and drop any of the save searches that you have saved earlier so that you can visualize it in this environment. So I saved the group policy error events by computer earlier. You can see that when you drag the save searches out, we automatically visualize it for you. So there's no work on your behalf to actually make this look pretty. But if you want to show it in a different view, we'll give you different visualization options. So say you want to show it as a number, we can do that as well. And you can actually apply a threshold on that. So say anytime when the value is greater than 0, because I don't want to see any errors, right? Then the tile is going to go red, right? But in this case, let's say 5 is a tolerable threshold. When you set that, the tile is going to go black because there's no issue with it right now. And so that's one way you can use a dashboard. The tiles on here are fully rearrangeable. So let's say you want to move this tile over here. You can simply do that. And we'll shift and reshuffle all of your tiles automatically to the way you want it. Let me add some variety to this data right now. It looks really boring. There you go. That looks better. Okay. So with this type of experience, we can then build intelligence pack on top of this platform to give you insights into specific problem domains in your day-to-day IT practice. So going back to the overview page right here, if we look at the system updates intelligence pack, this is an intelligence pack that tells you the state of your patches in your environment right now, regardless of where the machine sits. They could be sitting, it could be a VM in Azure, or it could be a VM sitting in your own data center. It doesn't matter. We collect all of that data and give you a unified view of where you're at in terms of your state of patching. So you can see in here across all of my machines, some of them on-premise, some of them in Azure. Across the board, 56% of them is missing critical security updates right now. There's one in particular that has not been patched for more than 120 days. So, this is basically malware galore in there. It's really dangerous machine that we actually use to test the security intelligence pack. Don't try this at home. And we also give you a different view using the same set of data that tells you by the specific updates how many servers has not applied a particular patch that you might be interested in. Okay? And so if you click on these tiles, what we do is that we actually bring you down into the search experience. And you can see in this case, I'm simply looking for system updates data, where the update classification is of security. And I want to view this in a table form rather than the row form that I was using earlier. Right? And I want to select just the specific field of the server name, the update title, the KB article ID, and so forth. And because this data is something that we already recognize, for certain data type, we offer what we call operational context. So we can offer additional context to you. And in this case, bringing you to the specific patch article that is related to that specific system update. And here you can see the symptom, the problem, and even download the patch itself directly onto the, from the site. Now with this, what I want to do is walk you through a real problem that we've talked to many customers about, and probably a common problem that you've seen before, and let's see how Operational Insights can help you with that. To set the context though, let's say I am the administrator for a number of database server. And one of the critical tasks that I need to perform on a day-to-day basis is to ensure that backup is happening successfully for the servers that I manage. Okay? And one thing that I can do really easily through Ops Insight is to get a quick view to see if I'm getting any backup issues across my environment. So let's just type backup in here and see what we got. Okay, so there's 90 results related to backup in here. Some of them from our SQL assessment data, some of them from our events. So I think I'm interested more in events right now. So I'm going to click on events. And we see different types of event level in here. Some looks like there's some warning and error. So I want to look for the event level name again, and specifically drill down into errors. Okay, so now we're down to 12 result sets. The next thing that I want to do is look at the computer to see which server has this been failing on. Thankfully, all 12 failures right now are actually related to one machine. So I'm going to look at specifically this machine right here and check my timeline distribution to see when the problem has been occurring. So it looks like the problem started at around 5:20 on 2 days ago. So I can tell Ops Insight to specifically drill down on that time frame by clicking on the time bar right here. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is I want to look for the root cause of why this problem has been happening. So remember, now I'm focused. My query right now is focused on this specific machines on a specific time interval right now. Okay. So what I'm going to do is delete the filter related to backup and error, and I want to look at all of the data on that machine at that time frame to see what else has been going on that server. So I hit enter. Now what you're starting to see is that we started producing some graph at the top. This is because we're looking for all data, and we recognize that there are performance counters in your data sets in here. And so when we do see those type of data, we automatically visualize those performance counter for you so that you can read it more easily. I don't think you want to look at it in a table or a bunch of rows of data. That's kind of like hard to read. So looking at the performance counter right now, I see that there's a bunch of disk activity going on. Looking at the last value for my D drive and C drive, that looks pretty normal, 5 milliseconds, 6 milliseconds. So I'm clicking next. Oh, I've been clicking on the wrong path, sorry. Okay. These looks okay. Ooh. So this is my E drive. This is actually where my database files are stored. And looking at the last value, we have jumped from less than 300 milliseconds to all the way up to like 2 full seconds right now in the last value. So this looks pretty bad. That this latency has significantly increased on my E drive for the server in which I need to back up. So this is a good indication of what the problem is, because when you do backup, you obviously need to read large amounts of data. If the disk latency have suddenly increased, you will cause timeout error on the backup. So that makes sense. But why did the disk latency increase so much? Well, another thing that we can do is to look at other types of data in this environment. I noticed that there's some changes that's been occurring in my environment, 19 of them in that time frame. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start drilling down into configuration change to see if I can get a hint of what's going on. Okay, so I can see that there are a lot of state changes among my Windows server, different Windows services on there. But what I'm really interested in is to see if anyone installed new software in my environment. If I look at the change configuration type in here, I can see that there are 15 Windows Server changes, but 4 new software changes on this server in that specific time frame where the error has started occurring. So I'm going to drill into this. So this gives me the 4 software changes that's been happening in my environment right now. And if I look at the details of these guys, I see 1 malware updates on there, so that's okay. And I see some software installation on there. One of them is actually an approved software, but this guy, Contoso Defrag, never seen this before. This is something that's new. So this is actually a real story. What happens is somebody actually installed a new defrag tools that is run on a schedule basis that actually conflicts with the backup software, backup schedule. And what happened is causing backup to actually fail. That took days for the administrator to actually find out the root cause on. And they told us that if they have a tool like this, they can solve it within minutes, which is basically what I've done in here. And so this is a real-life example of how we can help you troubleshoot a problem and get down to the root cause really quickly using the power of big data, because everything is accessible at your fingertip across your entire environment. Okay, so that's one end-to-end example that I want to walk through. Now I'm going to switch back to the slides. And just to give you a basic walkthrough of how data actually flows to operational insights. Okay. So here's a diagram of, well, the cloud on the left-hand side, on your right-hand side is obvious. That's Ops Insights. On the left-hand side, that is your environment. Okay. So in that picture in here, we got some SCOM deployments in there, a bunch of agents, a bunch of management servers. And they can connect to Ops Insight via a proxy server. You only need outbound connectivities from your environment to Ops Insights. We don't actually require you to open any inbound ports on your environment to talk to your systems, unlike a lot of other vendors out there that requires you to do that. So that keeps your environment a lot safer. On top of that, we can work against multiple management groups. Okay? This is a big data store, and if you have a big environment where you have different management group installed across different networks, but you still want that data to be piled into a single storage account, you can easily do that through Ops Insights. So we work with multiple management groups. And one thing that I want to point out is that when you instruct Ops Insights to collect data from your operations manager environment, we bypass your databases. Okay? So when you tell us to collect, X number of event logs, don't worry about that activity impacting your on-premise performance and scale. We don't touch your databases, and we know that your databases is where your scale bottleneck is. Okay, so we made sure that doesn't impact your environment. So that data shoots right across the management server and up to the cloud. Now, we're also introducing a scheme that allows you to just download an agent directly from our portal, and you can just install that into any individual boxes to try out. And these agents can securely connect through a proxy server to talk to Ops Insight directly. Now, when you tell us to use a proxy server to connect from a Windows server that you want to talk to directly, we don't actually enable proxy for that entire server. Okay? We will only make the agent process be allowed to use that proxy service, so that when someone else log on to that box and they launch IE on there and they don't have the proxy password, they can't browse the web. Okay, this is a security feature that we built in so that it doesn't impact any security policies within your environment. So treat it as almost like a private channel between the agent with the proxy server to the cloud service. Screw it, I'm just going to use the keyboard. Okay. Now, when the data start getting sent to Operational Insights, we ensure that the agents or the management server are talking to our cloud service in an authenticated and authorized fashion. And so we basically send down a certificate down to your on-premise system automatically. And that certificate is used to encrypt the data and to authenticate which accounts that data should land into in the Operational Insights environment. On top of that encryption that we use with the certificate, we also use SSL to encrypt the data over the entire channel. So basically, it's double encrypted, the data, before it gets sent to the cloud. We also applied a compression algorithm on all of the data that is being sent. So we use this across our MSIT environment today, and they don't even experience a blip in terms of their network performance right now. They are just sending data to Operational Insights, gobs of data, and everything just runs fine for them. And we have a lot of experience with data compression and ensuring that the network bandwidth on there is utilized in the most optimal fashion. When the data lands into the cloud, the service itself that contains the data are run by authorized personnel in operational roles within our team. Okay, so people who are working on research and development in our team, in those roles, they can't touch your data, they can't access your data only by authorized operational personnel. And their main job is to ensure that the service is up and running. Okay, we take this very, very seriously. Every single activities that is performed in the service is audited and logged and can be tracked. The data that is actually stored in Azure are stored in separate file partitions in Azure. And this is an infrastructure level concept that we use in Azure. What that means is your data are physically separated from other customers' data. Okay? So we don't use a logical file separation, which means, like in database term, every data is all stored into a single table regardless of the customers that is coming from. And when you extract the data, we have to look at the customer ID and whatnot. We don't do that. Okay? Your data lands into a partition that is physically not mixed with other customers' data. And obviously, all of the communication between our service and Azure storage is done through secure authentication channeled in Azure. And when you access the data from our portal, again, everything is done through SSL. Okay, and once you logged in with your Microsoft account or Microsoft organizational account, what we generate is a customer token, which represents you, and only with that customer token can you access that file partitions where your data is stored. Okay, so on top of the Azure Security Channel, we apply this additional security mechanism on top of the data partitioning that we applied in the environment. So we take this business really, really seriously. We know that we got to win your trust to use this, so we hope that we can just demonstrate that to you. And if you got any feedback, let us know. We're more than happy to ensure that we do the right thing on your behalf.